The 10 most dysfunctional rock bands of all time? Let's take a look. Okay, everybody, I thought it would be a little bit fun today to go down and list the 10 most dysfunctional, in my opinion, rock bands of all times. And when I'm talking dysfunctional, I don't mean just like a couple of the members like hitting the sauce a little bit every now and so often, having arguments. I mean bands that just can't seem to get along. No matter what they do, the members are fighting, things take place. It is the way it is. Maybe I could have called this the 10 most drama-laden bands of all times, but that makes a shitty title, so I called it what I called it. Well, without any further ado, let's get into it. Number 10. I actually seen them live in concert. Not really a big fan of the music, but it was a good show. We are talking about Jane's Addiction. When you got a lead singer like Perry Farrell, you know there's going to be weird shit going on in that band. But how do you not put a band on the list that actually broke into a fist fight on stage? You got Perry attacking the guitar player Dave Navarro, and then the bass player comes over and starts throwing uppercuts in front of the whole crowd, right into his stomach. Listen, there's been funny moments in rock and roll, and there's been moments when bands like really just air their shit publicly. But come on, can you name one better than that? Number 9, Rat. How can you not love Rat? Anyway, we're talking about a band that just can't seem to get its shit together. Who wants to play? Who doesn't want to play? Piercy wants to do this. DeMartini wants to do that. Bobby Blotzer thinks he owns the name and the rights to the band. He can do whatever he wants. The other guys say no. They're in court battles. They're fighting. Nobody can use the goddamn name. It is just a shit show, and it has been almost since day one. We are talking about a band that really, probably after Robin Crosby died, just started systematically falling apart. And it's never been the same since. So, Rat, it can't not be on the list. It just has to be there. You got the courtrooms, you got the personal fights, you got a name that can even be used. It's a disaster, top to bottom. Number 8! Oh, when you put brothers in a band, shit sometimes doesn't work out. I know what you're thinking, Oasis? No, not really. I'm talking about the Black Crowes. You got Chris and Rich Robinson, who for some reason will always seem like they hate each other's guts. They can't get along, they can't agree on anything, they just don't mesh. And the fact that they're still out there playing right now is just a testament, pardon me, to the fact that the almighty dollar will make people get along long enough for anything. But when you throw in the list of band members that have gone through that band, and I mean it looks like the S section of the Yellow Pages in the 70s, it is just insane. List after list after list of players that have come and gone. And then when Steve Gorman, the drummer, came out and publicly said, hey man, they fucking fired me, blah, 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 it's bullshit. It just took the drama to another level. So the Black Crowes, number 8, I think they should be there. Number 7, the Eagles. Let's be honest. This band has had so many get-togethers and breakups and members drop out that it's always been a disaster area. You know what I mean? Bernie Lennon, he dropped out ages ago. They bring in Joe Walsh. Randy Meisner says, I can't take this shit anymore. He drops out. They bring in Timothy B. Schmidt. The band folds. The band reunites. You can't get anything more past Don Felder coming and going and coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. It's always been a shit show with the Eagles. And really, the leaders of the band, Fry, Henley, they get along, or got along. Kind of. Even they would have their spouts. So the Eagles have always been a coming and a going and a fighting and a reuniting. And now they have a band going right now that I don't even fucking recognize as the Eagles. So it's just, it is what it is. Number 6, the almighty Journey. Oh my God. Talk about a band that can't get its shit together. Even going way back to the days where like Anthony Dunbar fucking quit the band, and then you had Greg Raleigh there as Steve Perry came in at management's insistence, and then all of a sudden Raleigh's gone, you got Steve Smith joining the band, and everything seems to be going fucking gangbusters, and all of a sudden Steve Perry wants the whole rhythm section, Ross and Steve fired, for reasons only known to him, and then they disappear, and then they reunite with everybody, and then Steve says, I don't want to do this because I got a bad hip, or whatever the hell is going on, and then you got a succession of singers that just came and went, from Aud Jerry to Scott Soda to everybody who's just been through that band, in and out, and then you get the addition of Arnell, and then you get the fights between, the keyboard player Kane and fucking Neil Sean, and then you got the big legal battles going between Ross Valerie and Steve Perry and Neil Sean. It's a constant shit show with that band. Actually, when I see Journey on stage now, it's like, I don't even know what you want to call it. It doesn't look like anything like the band I grew up listening to and paying attention to. So it is what it is. They had to be there. Journey could not escape this list. Number 5, a band with legendary status and an incredibly small catalog. We are talking about the one and only Guns N' Roses, a band that could only really keep its lineup through an album and an EP. Really, by that time, Steven Adler was gone. Let's face it. He only was there for a record, an EP, and one song on the Use Your Illusion records, which was Civil War. Then, okay, you bring in Matt Sorum. All right. All of a sudden, Izzy Stradlin says, don't want to do this no more. One of the major components of that band. Actually, without Izzy Stradlin, would have they really done sense? Thank you. Anyway, he takes off. You bring in Gilby Clarke, who everybody seems to like, except at one point or another, Axl Rose. And then the whole band just grinds to a halt. Axl reforms it because he owns the name, because he bought it from a bunch of guys that were strung out and whacked out on drugs. Then he turns it into this revolving door of Bumblefoot's bucket heads and you name it, and they come and they go. I love Buckethead, by the way. They come and they go. It turns into a thing. And then they reunite. Without Izzy, without Steven, even though they have him show up every now and so often and play a song, and that only lasted for a few shows, and he said, fuck this. This is a band that could never keep its shit together. I know for the last 10 years it's been kind of going steadily strong, even though they fired the drummer and brought another drummer in, whatever. But it has been fairly okay for the last 10 years. But their work ethic, as far as music productivity, has gone to shit. They don't put any music out. They're basically existing off of an album, an EP, a double release, and a couple songs off of a record that was a lead singer and a bunch of other guys. That's it. Over almost 40 years. That's it. Say what you will. Number 4. You got to throw them in there. The almighty Kiss. Come on. This shit started fairly early, within a few years of the band. I mean, come on, you talk Kiss was 73, 74. By the time they started running the problems, it was already only like 78, you know what I mean? You had the problems with Peter, you had the problems with Ace, not showing up for recordings, this, that, and the other. In came ghost musicians, okay. And then all of a sudden, band members leave and or are fired. Take it any way you want to view it. They go. Then they go through a succession of guys. They bring in, the Vinnie Vincents, who's apparently the most troubled human being ever created by God. Then you get the Mark St. John, who is like, who is that guy? Exactly. Then they land on Bruce Kulick, a guy everybody universally fucking likes. And then they reunite with Ace, with Peter. And then that turns to shit fast enough. They bring in Tommy Thayer. Okay. Whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not shitting on the guy. He played okay on some of the records, but he's basically just rehashing stuff. I don't blame the guy. It's a solid gig. It is what it is. But, really? Anyway, it's just been a revolving door and a mosh-up and a mess for decades. Yes, they were solid at the end with Eric Singer and Tommy and Gene and Paul. But let's face it, it's just a Gene and Paul show, and they brought a couple guys in, and they said, well, these guys listen to whatever we say. No problems, no fouls. And people have grown to like them over the ages. But really, I miss Bruce Kulick, for Christ's sake. What the fuck? But whatever. It's a long story. You can look up their history. Kiss. Number 3. Oh, the almighty Jan Halen. Yes. Look at Van Halen objectively. Yes. Did they save rock and roll at the time? Maybe, possibly. Who knows? But are they a dysfunctional mess? 198%. Everything was going great. Everything was going great. But then the personality clashes. You know what I mean? Diamond Dave, basically everybody else. You could see it coming from a distance. It was what it was. Then you say, all right, they bring in Sammy Hagar. And son of a bitch, they start putting out these number 1 records. And everything seems to be fine. I know Van Hagar will never equal Van Halen in the eyes of many. I get it. But it was a successful lineup. They did astronomical numbers. They did great. So the Van Hagar era, wonderful. Until it wasn't. And then they said, hey, let's go get Gary Cherone. Good singer, good front man. Seems to be a good guy. Not only made it a record. And then we're going to bring back Sammy. We're going to bounce in Dave. We're going to do all this other shit. And meanwhile, there's this guy, Mitch Malloy, who was in the band and he was out of the band. And at one point in the 80s, they even looked at Patti Smythe from Scandal. And it's just been a fucking shit show. And now, with Eddie dead, they can't even get together to do any tribute shows or anything because Alex is fighting with this one and Dave is fighting with that one. And Sammy's just like, why can't we all just fucking do this? And it's just a disaster. That band has always been a disaster. Great band, revolutionary band, amazing playing band. Eddie Van Halen revolutionized what guitar became. Yes, 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 and yes. But Dysfunctional? Oh, you bet your ass they are. Number 2, a band that really had it all, honestly. They had a great singer. They had, to me, the best guitar player of the 80s. They had a really good rhythm section that could sing and write, especially the bass player. We are talking about Dokken. What a band, what opportunities, and what a shit show that thing turned into. Yes, I understand. Don, the truth is always pliable in his eyes. George, maybe a bit of an ego. Jeff, refereeing. Mick, the bar. We've all heard it. We all know. But when you listen to Dokken, especially like, Tooth and Nail and Under Lock and Key and, Back for the Attack and even Dysfunctional, that's a band that had a chemistry for writing great, great songs. And you had a great, great lineup that just couldn't work its shit out. Still, even to this day, in the mid-2020s, 2026 to be exact, 1 minute they're on stage with, guesting here together, guesting. The next minute they're just slam dancing the shit out of each other in statements on YouTube and in interviews. He didn't write this guy didn't do shit, he's a shitty singer, blah, 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 back and forth. And then you see them talking to each other again, then 3 seconds later it's the same shit. This is just a group of fucking individuals that no matter how they try, will never get over themselves. And basically it's over. Anybody who still looks for them to have a reunion, fucking forget about it. Don can't sing anymore. They're in their 70s. The shit's done and over with. What you got is what you get. What you get is what you got. It's over with. But it's a shame that they didn't put out more material and do more work and get past all their shit. Because you had a great band that, well, it was what it was. And I should say as some honorable mentions, there was a lot of bands that could have made this list. You got the Bon Jovis because of their Richie and John drama and maybe even how they treated their former bass player in the situation. You have that. You got bands like Motley Crue because of how they are with Vince Neil and what wound up happening with Mick Mars. There's actually some drama there. It's been going on for years. You got your situations with bands like Queensryche where they're actually spitting on each other at stage and then both using the same name and all this other bullshit going on. You got bands like Judas Priest because of the KK situation, and now band's almost recognizable at this point. Unrecognizable, I should say. So there's a lot of other bands that could have made this list. A lot of them. I just couldn't fit them on. So, I guess honorable mentions? And number 1, a band whose dysfunction and drama is so legendary. It's why 80% of the people tune in to watch the shows, the concerts, the lore, the memories, whatever, however you want to look at it. We are talking about Fleetwood Mac. Come on. Before even Lindsay and Stevie joined, there was issues. I mean, you had Peter Green. He was there. He was really the leader. Then he was gone. Then you had people like Bob Welch, Danny Kerwin, came, went. There's already problems with rotation in the goddamn band. Then you bring in Stevie and Lindsay. Well, the band goes to stratospheric heights. But how can a band function when everybody in that band has banged each other or been in a relationship at one point? You got the keyboardist married to the bassist, that falls apart. You got the guitarist not married, but in a long-term relationship with the singer, and that falls apart. And then that singer bangs the drummer. She's actually slept with 2 of the 3 guys in the band. You have that shit going on. How do you make a band like that function? You don't. You just sell tickets to an audience that wants to watch a shit show appearing on stage in looks and emotions and feelings that none of them ever got over. And just watch it go on and on and on. And then they break up. Lindsay's gone. They bring in a couple of other guitar players. Then Christine McVie's gone. Then they bring in this other girl to replace Stevie, and they're going. Then they reunite, and then McVie drops out, and then Stevie and Lindsay keep it going, and then she comes back, and then Stevie demands Lindsay is fired. It's a fucking disaster. Always has been, always will be. And now it doesn't matter because everybody's in their late 70s or dead or sometimes even close to death because they're all fucking between 76 and 80, whatever. It's done. It's over. I don't even want to see them reunite because I think it would be a shit show and be kind of pathetic, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. They did what they did. We could all go back, watch the videos, and see the stares at each other while they're singing to each other. It's entertaining. It's a soap opera. It's voyeurism. It is what it is. But those days are over. Just look back at it and go, yeah. All right, everybody. Let me know if there's any bands that you think of when it comes to this kind of thing. Now, keep in mind, yes, I did relegate this all to the rock genre because, well, that's kind of where I lie my hat the most. But if there's ones out there that you can think of that were in country or whatever, it doesn't make a difference. Feel free to list them below. Anyway, once again, as always, be good, take care, stay out of trouble, be kind to a stranger and there for a friend, and most of all, never, and I mean ever, take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.